What is good, Ninja? OG over here from Player Essence, and welcome to another PE discussion video. Today we're going to be talking about one of my franchises that I love dearly. Seriously, this is a Player Essence franchise. This is a great RPG, and I think that it's an RPG franchise that you guys obviously see in the title here that doesn't get enough credit, and that is Bravely Default. Okay, these games, Bravely Default. Actually, I say these games, and I'm holding up the same game. These games, Bravely Default and Bravely Second Endlayer, these are some of the best 3DS RPGs. I absolutely love these games, and I'll kind of go into that here. And of course, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. But Bravely Default, oh, that's Bravely Second. Bravely Default and Bravely Second Endlayer, fantastic RPGs on the Nintendo 3DS. And I'm such a big fan. I actually have one of these here. This is actually the Bravely Default limited edition or collector's edition. There was not a lot of these. I think you can get it online for a good price, but overall, there just wasn't a lot of these. I remember my store pretty much was pre-order only. They had no extra copies. There was like 2 of them, you know, and I got one of them, so I was pretty happy about it. This was expensive, but I'm a huge fan of the franchise, and I absolutely love what they've done with it. And it's kind of risky always buying like a new IP. As far as like a collector's edition, you never know what's going to happen with the game. They gave us a demo though, and the demo was really good. And they did the same thing with Project Octopath. It seems like those developers, Silicon, really likes to get the demo and get our feedback, because they actually did somewhat of the same thing with Bravely Default on the Nintendo 3DS. But going into this franchise and why I like it so much, I think when you're talking about RPGs, like the classic RPGs, you're talking about like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, for example. People are loving the fact that everything just isn't thrown right there. It just lets you explore and figure out things, to the chagrin of some and to the excitement of others. But it's really an old school RPG, even down to some of the crazy mechanics in terms of the core blades and just some of the side quests, annoying ones, things that you have to do, little things here and there. And Bravely Default wasn't necessarily as annoying in some of the aspects when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but it was definitely more on the old school line, but with such a new twist to it. Like, I've never played a system like the Bravely and the Default system. That's where it gets its name, where if you want to go Bravely, you can actually bank up as far as attacks, because it's a turn-based RPG. But if you want to go Default, you can save up those ones, so bank up and save those ones. Or you can risk it and say, you know what, this person can just go all out right here, and I might not be able to attack for 4 times in a row and have lower defense, but hey, I can kill this enemy. So it was one of those things to when you leveled up, when you played through the game, it was like, wow, I can really body these enemies if I really can take advantage of this Bravely system, this Bravely Default system. And with all the different job classes, like 20 job classes or something like that, or something near that, it was just like an endless amount of play like styles and play variety. I've never played a game with that much variety in terms of how you can body your opponents or get bodied yourself, from defensive to offensive. There was just so many little things that they did in there. Now, if you intertwine all the gameplay, the RPG elements, the RPG itself, what they did within that, and then the storytelling and writing and characters, it was just an unforgettable experience in my opinion. And that's why a lot of people got excited when they talked about potentially that Mary Switchmas with Adia Lee, and how she was kind of teasing potentially Bravely Default coming to the Switch. And I wanted to get you guys' opinion on this, because I talked about this before, but what would you guys like to see out of the franchise? For all of my true fans out there of Bravely Default, like, would you want to see a compilation of these 2 games? So would you want to see them say, hey, we're going to put Bravely Default 1 and Bravely Default 2, or Bravely Second Endlayer, we're going to put those on the Nintendo Switch, add in maybe some content, HD visuals? Do you guys want to see that? Or would you like to see a complete remake of like the original Bravely Default, like to where it has Switch level graphics, everything is completely redone, or a collection? Like, what type of game would you want to see in it? Like higher res that 3D models and then a collection of games, or like a complete remake of Bravely Default like they've done before with other games that get complete remakes? And there's always the third option of a brand new Bravely Default game, which I think they can do that as well. I think a brand new game would be great. I think that Project Octopath also kind of carries the torch when it comes to Bravely Default, but I honestly feel that they have a good opportunity here to have both of them, because Project Octopath isn't exactly like Bravely Default. It's the retro style, it's doing things a bit differently. It's not the same aesthetic flair. Now, it has some aspects of the Bravely Default system, but it's a little bit simplified from what they've shown us right there in terms of the demo. Now, it might be more complex later on, but to me, it's almost something different in terms of what they're doing. So I honestly feel that they have a great opportunity to have two separate franchises, Project Octopath, and not be like that some type of spiritual successor to Bravely Default, and then they can go off and do Bravely Default. So in my opinion, I feel that they should completely remake Bravely Default first and foremost, like completely remake it. And I honestly feel, even though it's already launched on the 3DS and millions of people have played the game because it sold well, I feel that they can bring it back to the Switch and it can do just as good, if not better, on the Switch in a complete remake. And what I would like for them to do is have a remake of Bravely Default, have a remake of Bravely Second End Layer, okay, and then lead that into Bravely Default 3, or whatever the case is, or Bravely Third, and have this span over the next like 5 years or so in terms of the remakes, and then leading into Bravely Third, or a third game in the franchise. And I just feel that so many people would be able to experience these games that didn't play them beforehand. Bravely Second End Layer sold less than Bravely Default just because it was a super late Nintendo 3DS game, and I don't think it was quite as good or as, like, I guess, shocking. It was obviously already there. We had known this system. I don't think they did enough things new in that one, although it was still really good. Bravely Second End Layer is an awesome game with a great story tied into it. So what do you guys think, man? Bravely Default fans out there, let me know. What would you like to see the most? Would you want to just see a brand new game first and foremost? Would you want to see them put it in a collection to get it out quicker? Maybe it's not like a complete remake, just kind of 1080p models. Would you like to see complete remakes of Bravely Default and Bravely Second End Layer leading into Bravely Third? Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. All right, Ninja, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. It really helps us spread the content of Player Essence across the interwebs in addition to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon and YouTube live gaming page and consider supporting Player Essence. When you do so, it gets you access to all sorts of cool benefits, perks, rewards, and emotes via YouTube sponsorship. So check out the link in the description below and consider supporting Player Essence right here on YouTube. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to Player Essence for the latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you, Ninja, for the next video. Peace.